Hello, everybody. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the webinar. We've started the broadcast. I hope everybody can hear us clearly. I can see we have more than 100 attendees who have joined. Dear attendees, thank you everybody for joining us for the webinar today. The title of the webinar, which we are presenting today, is Solar Renewable Energy, a cost-saving and clean solution for commercial and industrial buildings. We are joined together with our distinguished speakers in this seminar from Elum Energy, LONGI Solar, and Huawei. And we hope that all of you will find the presentations to be informative and engaging. Please allow me to uh, give an idea of the flow of the event today. We will be having questions for the last 15 minutes of the sessions. In addition, you can also send your questions on the message board during the presentations. It will be great if you can also mention the specific speaker who you would like to address the question to, or we will decide whoever is the best to address the question. We will try our best to answer as many questions as we can. Before we move ahead, let me give a quick introduction for myself, Waqas Musa. I'm the marketing director for Hedron Solar. We are one of the leading solar EPC solutions providers in Pakistan, and we are focused on agriculture, residential, and small to medium commercial projects with over 400 installed projects of almost 10 megawatt capacity. We are always on the lookout for new technologies and how to improve the ROI for our customers. And I believe that the solutions which we're talking about, presented by Elum Energy, LONGI Solar, and Huawei, are a cost-effective addition for a wide range of solar plants. Let me introduce the speakers who are going to be joining us, who are joining us with us on the webinar today as well. First up, we will have Mr. Rawad Yusuf. He is the sales manager for Middle East and Africa region for Elum Energy. Elum Energy is an energy and automation company that supplies cost-effective monitoring and control solutions for hybrid energy systems. These solutions can be adopted to a wide range of applications present in Paris, Casablanca, and Cape Town. Elum Energy equips more than 100 sites in over 40 countries with their solutions. Mr. Rawad will be our first speaker. The second speaker who will be joining us today is Mr. Jonathan Zhu, who is the head of marketing of APAC region for LONGI Solar. LONGI Solar needs no introduction in the Pakistan market. They've been a leading worldwide player and have a lot of presence in the Pakistan market with numerous installed projects across Pakistan. I believe that they have presence on the large-scale projects across the country, from Karachi up to Islamabad, Lahore, all the major cities, and they have a lot of demand and a lot of customer awareness for the projects. And of course, LONGI is one of the world's leading solar brands. The third speaker who is going to be joining us on the webinar today is Mr. Rizwan Razak from Huawei. He is the CTO for Huawei, and he is also a familiar person in Pakistan and frequently visits the market along with the rest of Huawei team. Yesterday, in fact, Huawei conducted a green initiative in the Pakistan market in Lahore, which was also attended widely by the regulators, government functionaries, as well as a lot of people from the solar industry. Going with these introductions, we have about 15 minutes each for the speakers, and then we have about 10 to 15 minutes for the questions from the audience. So I'm going to ask I'm going to ask Rawad Yusuf for the first speaker to take over from here. Rawad, over to you.
Okay, I'll be sharing my screen. So first of all, thank you, Wakas, for the introduction. It is my pleasure to attend and to be part of this webinar. So I'll be sharing my screen. So okay, I hope everyone can see my screen now. As Wakas said, so I'm the sales manager for Elum Energy. I'll be discussing today about Elum Energy solutions that can be implemented for commercial and industrial buildings. So from my side, I'll be starting by the company overview. Then I'll discuss some concept about PV diesel hybridization. I'll go through our product portfolio, and I'll focus on some references in Pakistan and with Huawei inverters. So to start, we're a French company based in Paris, France. We also have offices in Casablanca, Cape Town, and soon we will have offices in Sao Paulo, Singapore, and Bombay. So our main field, or we're expert in monitoring and control for hybrid and microgrid systems, where we have more than 100 sites already installed in more than 40 countries. We have strong partners. These partners range from project developers, EPCs, and also some product manufacturers like Huawei. So we are operating in several fields. I'll be focusing today on the C&I buildings, so commercial and industrial buildings. But I want to mention that we are operational in utility scale project, power plants, and microgrid systems. Our main added value in Elum is our compatibility with a lot of different brands. As you can see here, there is the main players like Huawei, Tesla, Fronis, Sungrow, Caterpillar. These brands range from genset controllers, PV inverters, and PCS of the batteries. This gives flexibility to our client to choose their own brands. The only requirement that we asked for is to have the Modbus protocol in order to integrate any brand. So to go to some concepts, so as you probably may know, so the microgrid is an energy distribution networks that consist of several energy sources. The solar diesel hybrid system is a type of microgrid where the PV is the main source in this microgrid, and integrated with several sources like utility, gensets, and PSS. I'll be differing today between two main configuration or two main concepts, the poor grid and the off-grid systems. So the poor grid is mainly used in countries where the grid is not reliable, for example, in Pakistan, and there is a diesel genset as a backup that is needed for these sites. So without a controller, the EPC or the client will be losing the PV production. So it is needed to have an EMS in order to integrate the PV with the gensets, and by that to increase the solar penetration and reduce the fuel consumption. This is the main configuration or the standard configuration where we have a grid and the genset as a backup. So our controller will be connected directly to the different equipment, so directly with the PV inverters through Modbus protocol, genset controllers, and with the grid using some meters. I'll be discussing in the next slide about the feature that we will be providing, but I want to focus here that with all our controllers, we will be providing also a monitoring system for all the KPIs of each equipment. So concerning the feature that we will be providing for such application, so we will be providing the grid feed and management. So either the zero export or the net metering, depending on the operator, depending on the client for sure. But we will be able, once the grid is available, to do this grid feed in management. And once there is a blackout and there is a switch to the backup gensets, so in that case, we will be providing the minimum genset loading. which is the minimum percentage that the genset is preferably not to run below it. So you will have some additional fuel consumption and some maintenance problems. So with our controller, we will be able to make sure to provide this minimum genset loading. So our controllers can also work in different applications or configurations, like the totally off-grid. As you can see here, so there is no utility grid, and there is also a BSS that can be integrated. The main target or the main goal of our controller is to prioritize the introduction or penetration of the renewable energies and to reduce the fuel consumption and the CO2 footprints. So as I mentioned before, the controller will be connected to the PV and the gensets, but also we can integrate the PCS or the battery chargers in order to provide some specific strategies and comply with the requirement of each client. For sure, also the controller will have the monitoring system with all the KPIs retrieved from each equipment. These are some examples of the feature that we will be providing for such systems. So for sure, as I said, so there is the minimum genset loading for most of our projects, but also we can provide the spinning reserve optimization or management depending from the genset or the BSS. And also we can provide the diesel off mode. So in case the size of the batteries can overcome the load available on site and the batteries and the SOC of the batteries are high, we can turn on and off the gensets in order to reduce the fuel consumption. So concerning our product portfolio, so we have a different range of products from small data loggers to hybrid fuel savers, microgrid, and PPC controllers. So in general, we have a tailored solution for each application with a cost-effective technology. Also, we have a reliable software and hardware with an outstanding service level and support team for the commissioning and for the optimization of your projects. So for the hybrid fuel saver, this controller will be used in different configuration, as I mentioned. So on grid or off grid, we will be able to provide to reduce the fuel consumption by managing several gensets and then to control, let's say, the PV inverters. I want to mention here that we can add with our controllers some sensors, some weather stations, IO models, that and everything can be monitored remotely. For our microgrid controllers, so this is mainly used for projects with batteries. As you can see, there is the battery storage and also can work with different configurations. So we're flexible in working off-grid project, maybe without a genset, and we can have and develop a solution specific for each configuration. And finally, there is the power plant controller. This controller is mainly used for utility scale projects and more complicated projects, if I can say, where there is a lot of specific requirements. So our control strategy is totally customizable to comply with your needs and to comply with the client needs. Here there is our configuration platform. So with all of our controllers, you will be able to access our on-site platform to provide the configuration and some monitoring of the site. So this is another added value of Elum, where the configuration is done in some simple steps. So you need to follow some steps in order to commission the controller, and this configuration can be done autonomously. In addition to that, for sure, we will have our support team, our support engineers that will be available to help you step by step to commission your controller. On the second level of monitoring, I'll be discussing here the monitoring system. So it's a remote monitoring system that can be accessible through your PCs, your laptops, or your phones. So this is mainly used for R&M team to have always a feedback on each power sources available and how the site is running at each time. Here is some screenshots, so you will be able to see all your different sites on this map on the overview page. There is this tab where you can see the different sources together with the graph mentioning the production, the consumption of each source. Here you can see some advanced monitoring where you will see the status of each inverter specifically. And finally, we have the tab for the alarms. This you can, we will be retrieving all the third material alarms and show it on our monitoring system. And also you will be having the ability to put some customizable alarms based on your needs. Finally, some references. So here are some small references with Huawei inverters. So this project, the first project was for a close company in Pakistan. We were able to use our solar diesel controller or hybrid fuel saver to integrate two different gensets. And by that, to provide, as I said, zero export when the grid is available and minimum genset loading once there is a switch to the backup genset. I want to mention here that the main Huawei inverters. So we used the Huawei Smart Logger for this project. Also in the same application here for a project in Kenya, it was for a nuts factory where the PV is around 180 kilowatt with one genset. By that, so there was two different Huawei inverters, and we were able to integrate them and provide all the strategies discussed before. And there is this project, so this reference, it's a good reference with Huawei also, where we managed 22 inverters. The project was around 2.2 megawatt, 1 megawatt of BSS, and a genset of 4.5 megawatt. Also for Pakistan, we did several projects. We have more than 20 projects already installed. This one was for a public school in Pakistan. For this project specifically, so we were able to provide the net metering. So the operator let us inject into the grid. So once the grid is available, all the extra PV were injected into the grid. And for sure, once there is a switch to the genset, we provided the minimum genset loading. This is another example of a poultry farm in Pakistan. In this project, there was 3 different gensets of 100 kilowatt running one at a time. By that, using our SD controller or hybrid fuel saver, we were able to increase the solar penetration and reduce the fuel consumption. And finally, since I already mentioned the off-grid systems, I want to show you this interesting reference of us. So this project was done in Comoros Island. So the PV were around 4 megawatt, 1 megawatt of BSS, and we managed 6 different gensets of 2 megawatt. So for this project was done with the Kako inverters and with the Tesla power pack. We used in this project our PPC controller, where there was some specific requirements to switch and island the BSS and the PV system. So in that case, the controller were able to switch from the genset to be the grid forming unit on site for the BSS to be the grid forming unit. And by that, for sure, we increased the solar penetration and we prioritize the use of renewable energies. That was from my part. Thank you for listening. I'll be available for sure in the Q&A session. Now I'll give. Yes. So Jonathan will be presenting right now.
Yes, thank you. Let me switch on my cameras. Can you see me? Okay. Can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Welcome and thank you for joining today's webinar. And my name is Jonathan. I'm in charge of LONGI's Asia Pacific marketing. And based on the market situation in Pakistan, a lot of CNI projects are actually ground mounted. So as a module supplier, my topics today will cover the N-type TOPCon technology, and also I'll be talking a little bit. Talking a little bit about how we can support our partners in terms of marketing, and finally to talk a little about the module selection, a few pointers in the market, because there are a lot of different kinds of solar modules in the market right now. So the first part, a very brief introduction about LONGI. We have over 20 years history. Last year, we've achieved over 24.5 gigawatts of module shipment and 58 gigawatt of wafer shipment. That's actually 19% of global market share, and LONGI became the world's #1 in terms of solar module global shipment. And in 2021, we are continuing to expanding our capacity to 50 gigawatts of module supply and also 85 gigawatts of wafer capacity. LONGI is a Chinese company headquartered in Xi'an, China, and the marketing and sales center is in Shanghai. So I'm based in Shanghai. Our product category is very simple. We believe that larger wafer will produce more energy efficiency in terms of power output, and also to further reduce the BOS cost in terms of the overall EPC. So we have introduced HAMO 4 series 2 years ago, adopting M6 standard size. So the wafer size is 166 millimeter, and HAMO 4 is still available from LONGI. This is more for rooftop projects. And last year, LONGI introduced HAMO 5 that adopts M10, which we believe is the ultimate size for solar modules. That's the 182 millimeter mono wafer. And HAMO 5 series are for projects that's sensitive to initial capex and is the best seller in Pakistan this year. And also last month, we have introduced a new product using N-type TOPCon solar cell. And the maximized power output is 570 watts. The wafer size is also M10 optimate size. The scenario we're talking about for HAMO N is the high ground albedo, which in Pakistan's case, I believe is mostly sand, and also high temperature, because the module has very low temperature coefficient, which you can see the numbers in the following PPTs, and also with high labor cost, because the module efficiency is very high. Oops. And a closer view of the modules. Personally, I can't see the difference, but if I zoom in, you can see the N-type wafer with the high performance bifacial cell. All the HAMO N series are bifacial modules. And it's a glass-on-glass design with aluminum frame to maximize the module reliability. And also smart soldering technology, which belongs to LONGI. We try to minimize the micro cracks on the cell level. And also by adopting M10 solar wafers, we are achieving the optimal module size for utilities. And the module area is less than 2.6 square meters, which is quite easy for 2 men to handle during transportation and during installation. And the high bifaciality, I'm comparing on the right-hand side is HAMO N, and the left-hand side is HAMO 5, which is the latest technology in the market right now. So the bifaciality has been increased by 10%, and given the land is sand, so we're talking about an energy yield from Albedo to be increased by 1.5%. And as for temperature coefficient, since we're using N-type mono wafer, so the coefficient is much lower comparing to P-type solar cell. So if we're talking about, if you can see the working temperature here, 45, 65. I think in some areas in Pakistan, the temperatures can easily hit to 65 in summer. So if the temperature goes very high, we can see the additional power, the additional efficiency will be increased by 1.6%. And of course, using N-type solar cell, there won't be any light-induced degradation. A technology breakthrough by using N-type, and this is a summary, as you can see on the left-hand side is also the latest technology you can find in the market. On the left-hand side is what we are offering early next year. The efficiency has been increased by 1%, and the temperature coefficient, if we're in tropical environments, in very hot environments, we can hit at least 1% more energy yield. By visuality on sandy areas, we're talking about 1.5 additional yield. And for the first year degradation, if you're familiar with modules and for the P-type in the warranty, the first year degradation is less than 2%, and for N-type, the warranty will be less than 1%. For annual degradation is also reduced. If we're talking about 30-year life cycle, it will be 2.4% additional efficiency in the long term. And we're using HIMO 5 P-type as a benchmark for outdoor energy yield by adopting higher efficiency N-type modules. We're talking about almost 3% energy yield, and that's been tested in our factory in Taizhou, China, which is not as hot as warm as Pakistan. Imagine that if we go to a warmer environment, then the energy yield will be further increased. And BOS cost saving, further savings on BOS is about 3%. And if we are having the same land, we can achieve 3.5% more in terms of DC capacity by utilizing the same land. And from marketing's perspective, apart from the products we can offer, we can also offer what we call dot service. LONGi has an internal digital marketing team and offering digital operation technology and system advisory services to your projects. The service involves in the entire project lifecycle, starting from the pre-development stage, where we can help with the evaluation analysis, feasibility report, and also during the development stage, we can provide additional suggestions, professional suggestions based on your current design and the design optimization, and also to provide services, advices on the equipment selection, trying to find the balance between minimizing the capex and maximizing your return in your financial model. And during the project operation stage, our team can also provide quality analysis, can provide performance analysis, and also O&M optimization. And this is purely from my side. From marketing in LONGi, we will be announcing the LONGi Academy in Q4. And the target audience will be our distributors, our installers, EPC partners, especially in the C&I sector. This is an online platform for LONGi to try to effectively help our partners to sell and install our products. And the marketing collaterals, the marketing tools can be found online. And it's a 2-day training courses. And we're finalizing the topics. And when our partner finish the 2-day courses, I don't know if there's going to be an exam or not. And LONGi will officially be giving out a certificate that you are LONGi's official partner, or you are LONGi's certified distributor, or etc. Something like this. And there will also be additional marketing support or sales support in the commercial aspect. Where we're discussing about maybe discount, maybe warranty, maybe something, trying to be an incentive if you finish the course and try to be LONGI's exclusive partner. So enough about our introduction. The second part will be a very brief introduction about the module selection. We've noticed that in the market, you can hear some products which is 650 watts or even 700 watts per module, and from the promotion, from the market, from the information where you find in the market, you only see very good things. But I'm trying to introduce a little bit risk factors for you to consider, because there are so many things to be considered when choosing solar modules for your projects. And the introduction will be very brief. And if you want to learn the details, our technical team can provide such analysis in a much comprehensive aspect. So this chart, if you can see, includes 6 companies that represents most of the market share, the module market share, and LONGI, Jinko, JA, and Canadian. We are all doing 182 millimeter modules, which what we call is M10 solar modules. And Trina and Ryzen, they're doing 210 millimeter, which what we call is ultra size modules using G12 monocell. But funny enough, the only 2 companies doing 210 modules, they don't have any wafer capacity, so they don't have the technological know-how to to invest or to be very to be an expert in the wafer manufacturing aspect. And recently, the world's largest solar cell producer and also a very big wafer producer, Huawei, they have rejected a batch of 210 millimeter wafer because the breakage ratio is about 10%. So there's a big loss in the manufacturing side, and I think for them they're rejecting it because there's going to be a lot of losses during the manufacturing. And also Ryzen, they have recently opened its 100 megawatt 182 module assembly line. We don't know, it's not from the official channel, but what we are guessing is they're having second thoughts on the module selection. Probably, maybe in the future they'll switch more to the 182 modules. And here is a chart comparing HIMO 4, which adopts M6, HIMO 5, and HIMO N, which adopts M10, and G12, which is what we call is the ultra size modules. And if you're comparing the specs, the additional power for the 66 cell is 650 watts, which you probably can already find in the market. That's almost 100 watts higher than what we are offering. But in terms of efficiency, as you can see, the additional power is coming from the size. It's not coming from the efficiency. So this is the first thought for you to consider about the G12 modules. And the second part is the operational current. As you can see, our current is about 13-14 amps, and G12 is about almost 20 amps. And for solar modules, the majority of the junction box is using 25 amps diodes. And for if the module is bifacial module, we also have to consider the current from the back side of the module. So the 210 millimeter module using 25 amp diodes, that it will significantly increase the chances of module failure. They have to adopt 30 amp diodes in their junction box. But 30 amp diodes, it's not very mature in terms of commercial manufacturing right now. The other options for the G12 modules is that they can use 2 horizontal diodes, but the imbalance in the current will cause further risks in the module performance. And in terms of the physical loading, about the module reliability, we have analysis here where you can see the 182 modules which is about 2.6 square meters, and the G12 modules is about 3.1 square meters. Both modules are using 2 millimeter thick PV glass front and back. So for the same outside stress to be imposed on the modules, the G12 modules were likely to withstand 40 to 50% additional forces from outside, because the glass is not thicker. So that will increase the shear stress because of the larger area, and also increase the tearing mounting holes, or even to cause microcracks in the cells. Here, the deformation is increased by 40%, and also here is a deformation of power degradation provided by the module width. For 182 modules, the module width is a little bit over 1.1 meters, and for the G12 module is about 1.3 meters wide. And the deformation, given the outside stress, increases, that will increase the potential and the risk of degradation. And for the BOS comparison, there are a lot of talking about saving BOS. Of course, using larger wafer can significantly save BOS, but LONGI and the other 182 module companies believes that it's not the bigger the better. It's we're trying to offer the appropriate solution for ground-mounted solar, and we're within LONGI, we have tested using fixed rack, and 2P fixed tilt, and also 1P tracker. And the result is the BOS saving is actually a little bit less than the 210 G12 modules. So it's not like you might have heard from the promotions that they can save a lot in terms of racking, in terms of inverter use. But on the other hand, they have to use 6 millimeter cable, and due to the higher current, the cables are much bigger, and also the incompatibility with other components that will slightly increase their BOS cost. So which means in the end, at the end of the day, the BOS cost is almost the same comparing both modules. And my final slide is about the LCOE calculation. And this is based on the previous page, the BOS cost. We have established 1 cent, 0.1 cent savings in terms of BOS. And let's assume the module price is the same. Energy yield, 182 modules is a little bit higher because the 210 module, the working temperature is 1 degrees higher. And also assuming degradation is higher, and also the debt financing, the interest rate, the discount rate is the same. The LCOE being established is about 0.5% lower than the G12 modules. So my presentation, the second part of my presentation, is only to try to give you a little bit hinters about the module selection. So if you're having doubts when you are getting quotations, or when you're considering the different options for your project, you can always contact our local team, Gulam and Ali. They'll be happy to provide support, and of course our technical team will have more comprehensive introduction in terms of technical, and we'll provide you all the support necessary. Thank you. That'll be all for my presentation today.
Hello and welcome to the Fusion Solar CNI Smart PV solution slides. My name is Rizwan Razak and I'm the CTO for the Middle East region. And today I'll be talking specifically in the topics of optimum electricity costs with considerations of active safety with our commercial and industrialized solution. So as an overview, Huawei is an equipment supplier for the solar projects, and we are covering not only the residential market, but also the commercial and the utility scale applications. Now, today I'll be talking in more detail specifically for the commercial and industrial applications. And you can see on the slide now an application scenario for a small scale solar PV project, where we are able to supply not only the inverters, but also accessories such as optimizers, smart dongles, power meters, along with the monitoring platform, which we call the Fusion Solar. So depending on the scale of the application, if it is a small scale, we are able to accommodate an inverter with a daisy chaining format with RS485 between the devices, or for larger applications, as you can see here on the megawatt plus scale, we then can accommodate with using our 100 KTL M1 inverter, which is a larger power class product. And typically for this type of application, most customers are going with the smart logger device, which is a data logger device able to accommodate not only just inverter data, but also external devices such as weather stations and also power meters as well, as shown on the overview diagram. Now, depending on the size, we can still configure the dongle, but that is limited to a certain number of devices, which is 10. And I'll go through that in the later slides today. So with most applications, we do provide most customers with examples. So here is a project in China using the 100 kilowatt product. And this was commissioned around 1 year ago on a rooftop application. So another well-known project in Singapore is the Shanghai Airport, which was successfully installed using the Sun 2036 KTL inverter. So you can see on the top right-hand side, the inverters are installed in the parapet area of the rooftop, which is local to where the PV modules are installed. And then this was installed back around 5 years ago in 2016. Another very good application, which was done in 2019, is the airport in Beijing, around 4.1 megawatts, using our 60 to 70 KTL products. Now, as you can see here on the top right-hand side, there is some of the products that are installed on the rooftop itself, and those, the inverters are also mounted on the roof itself, localized to where the modules are situated. Another very good project in Singapore, 830 kilowatts using the 60 KTL inverter. Once again, using the parapet area around the roof area to install the inverters, which is providing sufficient shading as they are installed without any direct sunlight, whilst also keeping the cables as short as possible. This is a very well-known project with the key client IKEA in Malaysia of around 1 megawatts. So this specifically was required to be installed within a plant room facility due to safety and regulation requirements from the client. So this had a requirement back in 2016, and we've successfully installed multiple other projects with IKEA as well in other regions. Well-known project in Dubai, the DP World, which is one of the largest rooftop projects in the Middle East, around 25 megawatts, using multiple different types of products between 8 to 40 kilowatt in size. So this was done back in 2017. So let's go to more detail about the optimum electricity cost, specifically provided with the Huawei solution. So first of all, we need to understand the project itself. We need to factor in the balance of system cost. We also need to ensure that the O&M costs are evaluated along with the system lifetime, which is the yield aspect, which are providing you the power and returns based on your project. So when you're looking at more of a traditional system, the balance of system, if well designed within the project itself, you are able to accommodate a lower balance of system cost. Whilst the key area which most customers miss to understand with the benefits of the Fusion Solar solution is the O&M costs and the benefits that we are providing using the technologies within our product. And then from the yield perspective, most cases we are able to provide more power from the products that are being used due to the technology within the products themselves. And I'll go through that in more detail in the coming slides. So first of all, with the technology that we're using since the first product installed outside of China in 2013, is the technology where we are connecting no more than 2 strings per MPPT. Now, we've seen this over the years to have more than adequate benefits to our customers, where the mismatch effect is substantially being reduced compared to the more traditional systems where you've got a single MPPT per inverter, or with larger centralized inverters, a very small number of MPPTs across a larger array area. So just from this example in Bangkok, for a period of time using a 20 kilowatt inverter from a competitor versus Huawei, you can see around 1.56% additional power being produced. So going into other aspects of potential induced degradation, which is sometimes that is overlooked by the balance of system or the O&M cost for the PV plant itself. If well designed and the functionalities of the products are able to accommodate, around 30% more power is able to be produced using the PID recovery function, which is available in the Huawei product range for the CNI. So once again, with most case studies, we like to show and share with our customers, this is for a short period between 2017 of June till around November 2017, where this functionality of the PID recovery was switched on this particular system, and around 1.59% more power was able to be produced during around 6 months period. So another factor for the CNI applications is the active safety. Now, we all know with an electrical system, the hazards are substantial. Now, we need to first of all understand where are the hazard points on the PV applications. So first of all, we need to be looking at the unreliable soldering joints with the PV modules due to potential quality issues. Second of all is the broken cables that are potentially affected over the aging of the project itself, and then loose PV connectors potentially by the installer or by not correctly terminating them into the inverters, etc. So these are all key areas of where this arcing aspect is likely to happen, and these challenges has now illustrated into recent regulations such as the UL 1699B standard. Now, with this standard itself, it specifically mentions a cable length, it specifically mentions amount of current that is being running through that specific cable. Now, as we all know, these regulations are slightly limited and slightly vague based on the technologies that are becoming available in the industry with the PV modules, and also with the CNI applications, as I explained earlier on in the reference cases. The inverters are typically installed on some cases in a plant room, sometimes in a parapet area, or sometimes within the rooftop area itself. So those lengths of cables of around 80 meters generally gets missed, and you're going well above that length where then the standards are not applicable. So with Huawei technology, we are able to accommodate the active arc safety functionality and the alarm detection within the inverter itself of up to 200 meters and within 26 amperes. So this accommodates for the high current PV modules that are becoming available in the industry, whilst also having a wide flexible scenario of inverter mounting in long distances away from your PV array. Now, with the DC arc detection of the PV system itself, it's called the arc fault circuit interrupter functionality. We have gone to a third-party standard, so TUV technical reports such as the IEC 63027 draft report is able to be more than accommodated using the technology installed within the products mentioned on the left-hand side. So from a better experience perspective, we can understand the technologies of the leading experiences that our customers are getting. So with the functionality of the optimizer, with the benefit of the inverter maintenance-free technology and the module smart diagnostic system functionalities built inside of the inverter, we are able to provide our customers with a leading technology whilst also having little to no maintenance cost from the inverter perspective over the 20 years of the product lifetime. So here, once I explained earlier on, the wearable parts within the products themselves for the C&I applications, you want to limit them down as much as possible. So items such as fuses, items such as the LCD screens, which were typically and sometimes even still available on some product ranges in other brands, is the key vulnerable area which we have seen from our history of products, which we have removed the LCD screens from the inverters themselves. So with everybody having smartphones in the globe these days that are installing products themselves, you can very easily connect to the device itself using your own personal mobile phone, and having no need for any vulnerable parts such as an LCD screen and any buttons on the inverter itself. Now, with the technology of the cooling of the inverters themselves, Huawei has a very proven track record of telecommunication industry for the last 30+ years. Now, with that proven track record, we have developed very unique and patented cooling designs, which we have accommodated within the solar inverter range and not only our telecom equipment. So you can see in certain areas on the right hand side, the surface area is slightly larger and thicker, depending on where the hotspot areas of the inverters are, to ensure that there is sufficient surface area available for the inverter to cool itself naturally rather than using fan cooling, which is typically allowing for the external air to be entering into the internal electrical components themselves and reduce the lifetime of the inverter. So we are very comfortably able to provide our customers with a failure rate of well below 0.5% on a global scale. So we have able to provide a third-party report from TUV, which has evaluated several different projects for several different periods of time, up to 963 days, and the failure rates are well below 0.5%, providing an inverter availability of 99.996%. Now, as I explained earlier on in regards to optimum electricity cost, one of the functionalities that we have now enabled with our C&I applications is the dongle that can be installed in the master device, and then an RS485 connection to the other slave devices. And that is limited to 10 devices on the site itself. Now, with our technology and proven track record of the monitoring detection within the inverters themselves, we have now able to provide our customers with an IV curve diagnostic functionality available with the inverters. So this is a increased benefit for the O&M, and it is verified by TUV. And if we look at the traditional method of doing an IV curve diagnostic compared to an IV curve diagnostic done in a digital way using the Fusion Solar monitoring platform. This saves substantial cost and also is approved by TÜV. So with our 5-year track record now using IV curve diagnostic for well above 7 gigawatts of applications, we can see the top 4 failures that are typically happening with not only our major customers, but you can see here where the customers can improve typically the PV applications, or where the top key failure points are, whether it's regards to the PV modules or the installation quality. So 8 innovations to support the optimum electricity costs, and I've gone through them through the slides today. The arc safety, the CNI tailored active arc protection levels of 200 meters and 26 amperes, the built-in PID recovery function, functions such as no wearable parts, and the IV curve diagnostic system. So here, just to be clear with everybody, here is a product range available for the CNI applications. So we start off at the scale of 12 kilowatts and finish off with a capacity of around 100 kilowatts for the CNI applications. So we do accommodate for the smaller scale projects as well, whilst we call them for the residential range, and for the larger scale projects themselves, where we call the utility scale, we have larger products available for those as well. So thank you very much for listening, and I'll hand it back over to our fellow colleague from Elum. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.
So for the viewers who are still with us on the webinar, while Rizwan's presentation is being fixed up, we can take a few questions. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read the questions which we've received on the chat at this time. The audience direct questions will be taken later on at the end. We have some questions. The first questions that we have are from related to Elum Energy. The questions, I will read the first 3 questions, and then Rawad, if possible, you can answer those 3 together. The first one is, does the monitoring come with costs or license? That's the first question. The second question, also from the same asker, is what is the power ratio between PV and diesel gensets? So what's the power ratio which we can use the diesel gensets and the PV along with these controllers? And the third question is that, is there going to be technical support available 24/7? What about while there is a commissioning happening, will there be standby support available? So Rawad, if you're able to answer these questions, that would be very great.
Okay, sure. So thank you, Waqas, for the questions. So to start with the monitoring platform, so usually we have 2 different platforms that we can provide. There is the one that is a standard platform that's showing all the different KPIs, which will be, there is no fee for this monitoring system. So it's meant for standard projects. So in order to provide also a monitoring with all of our standard products. But also we have an advanced monitoring system, so there will be some specification needed from the client. So the second monitoring system, we call it ePower Monitor Pro. So it will be yearly fees. So this is for the monitoring system. Concerning the power ratio, so there is no specification from our side, or so there is no requirement from our side. Mainly for the power ratio, it is designed usually by the EPC. From our side, we can be compatible with the different equipment without any issue. Usually, what most of the project that we encounter, there is the percentage of 70% between the PV and the gensets. But I need to focus here that there is no limitation from our side. It's totally the EPC decision and the design from the EPC part. And finally, concerning the technical support, so usually there is a dedicated team available to answer all your questions in less than 24 hours. If you need some advanced support like 24/7, we will be providing for sure an agreement between us to give you all the support needed. And during the commissioning, so once the commissioning of the controller and the configuration is set by the client, they will surely inform the technical team, and one of our engineers will be supporting live the commissioning of the controller. So this is it from my side.
Thank you, Rawad. The next question is also for you, which is what is the warranty time for the controllers? And there is also another question, so I'm going to ask that one as well, and maybe you can take both of these questions at the same time. Which diesel gensets are compatible with the fuel safe controller? So this is the two questions. What is the warranty time for the controllers? And secondly, what are the diesel gensets which are compatible with the fuel safe controller?
Okay, so for the first question concerning the warranty, usually we provide 5 years warranty for our controller. For sure, it is expandable, and sometimes we provide some third-party equipments. For these third-party equipments, like let's say meters, UPS, we have two years of warranties. Concerning the diesel gensets that we're compatible with, so here I want to mention that we can integrate the genset in two ways. So there is the direct integration using the genset controllers, or indirect integration using some meters. So the requirement that we asked for the genset controllers is to have Modbus protocol. So if the genset have the Modbus protocol, it can be directly integrated with our system. In case, let's say, for some old projects where genset controller is not available, we will be providing some meters to the genset in order to have the output of the genset and provide the minimum genset loading. So we have both cases of compatibility with the diesel gensets.
Thank you, Rawad. This is very clear. The compatibility of Elum controllers is with almost all gensets, as long as certain Modbus requirements can be met. Next question, which we have, is related to is directed towards Mr. Jonathan. I'm going to read it out. Hi, Mr. Jonathan. You mentioned zero LID and less than 1% degradation in the first year. Can you tell us what are other degradation reasons, or what are the reasons for this? So, Mr. Jonathan, this question is addressed towards you. We will appreciate if you can answer the questions. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a very good question, and the answer is very simple as well. It's the nature of the cell. So previously, the market is adopting P-type cell, P-type mono-PERC cell, which in nature has a slightly higher degradation. And N-type, why we didn't implement N-type? Because it was very expensive. It's not economical. The technology has been established for some time already, but with the development of our R&D, we have matured the commercial making of such solar cell or such solar wafer. So in terms of we are promoting it last month, because LONGI is very confident that we can offer gigawatt level of HEMO-N next year, and assisting your projects to produce higher energy yield. And in terms of the economical return, it makes sense, and that's why we are confident and pushing it into the market commercially. Yeah. So why the degradation is lower? It's basically the nature of the cell, of the solar cell. Yes.
Thank you, Jonathan. This is thank you for answering it clearly. And it's definitely the HIMO N is a very interesting product. And I have one question. It's a simple one. By when do we expect to have this product available in the market in Pakistan?
Last time I've heard at the promotion last month, I heard it's about 6 months. But we'll need to hear further from our headquarters when it's going to be available. Once we do, we'll promote, and you're definitely going to hear from us.
Great. We're looking forward to seeing this in the market. Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing this on the market as well. There is another interesting question. I'm going to answer this myself as well, perhaps. Or maybe better that we can, Jonathan, you can take it. The question is, what is the procedure to become a distributor for LONGI Solar in the market? Perhaps you'd like to give your email address.
Marcus, you can answer. It's more of a commercial question. It's either you answer or Ghulam will answer, but he's not in the staff. So.
Okay, so you can send an email to the LONGI the LONGI company, or you can contact the Pakistan representatives of LONGI Solar, Mr. Ghulam Mustafa and Mr. Ali Majid, and they will be able to answer to you the criteria and the procedures of importing LONGI Solar products, and also where you can get them from within the market for smaller order sizes. I'm going to move to the next question, unless Jonathan, you want to add something there.
Excuse me?
If there is anything you want to add, perhaps what you can do is that if you can send the email address for Ghulam on the chat board, so anybody who is interested to contact him, they can contact him directly from there on his email. The next question which we have is, will you be sending copy of the presentation? I will get back to you on this by the end of the presentation, but I believe we will be able to obtain the presentations from the presenters. The next question is related to Elum Energy. For the Elum presentation, how is the inverter sizing done to achieve the various references displayed? This is a question for Elum Energy. Rawad, if you would like to take this question, please.
Yes, sure. So usually concerning, as I said before, concerning the design and the choose of the inverters and the sizes of the inverters, usually this is done by the EPC or the project developer. It's not from our side to do the design of the inverters. So from our side, what we provide is a solution, is an EMS that is compatible with all the different equipment on site. So that's from my side.
Thank you, Rawad. The next question is also addressed for Elum, where they have asked about the certifications and standards which are complied by the Elum controllers. Do you have any idea about that, Rawad, or can you shed some light on that, please?
It's a bit a general question, so I can give a small example concerning, let's say, some countries. They asked for some certifications, and for sure we can provide certification for each country. So we had some countries in Africa that asked for some specific certification, and everything were done from our side. I hope I answered the question clearly.
I guess, yes, that's correct. Certifications can be provided on a case-by-case basis wherever needed. We have another couple of questions. We'll take those and then we will check with Rizwan in the meantime. The next question is related to LONGI Solar. What about the PID in N-type compared to P-type? This is a question from Mr. Firas. Jonathan, if you would like to take it. What about the PID in N-type compared to P-type?
I don't have the statistics right now, but is it possible I leave my email address to you, and I will have our technical team to take the question.
I think yeah, of course, this will be great. It will be good if you can send the if you can type your email address on the chat section to all attendees, and they can the relevant persons can pick up the email address from there. And if you want, you can also take the question, Jonathan, from the questions panel. This is a question asked by Mr. Firas, and then you can perhaps answer directly to him as well. Either should be okay. There's another question by Mr. Firas also. He has asked, is in terms of cost, is there a huge difference between P-type versus N-type? If you can just mention a percentage to give us an idea. If you could just give us a percentage as an idea.
Due to the use of high quality N-type wafers, the measured LID is basically 0. And for P-type bifacial modules with gallium doped silicon wafers, the LID is slightly higher than 1%. So basically comparing with N-type or P-type, one is about 1% LID, and N-type is absolutely 0.
Okay, okay. Let me check with Rizwan if.
Hi, Wakas. Thank you for holding up, and apologies from my side. There's been a bit of a few issues from my presentation. So we will be sending the material in the link to everybody after today's session. And there will be a video link available with my material and also the presentation presented to everybody. So thank you everybody for joining on behalf of Huawei. Apologies on the slight technical issues that we've had, and look forward to all seeing you very soon within Pakistan.